He has yet once to condemn white supremacy, the neo-Nazis. He hasn't condemned a darn thing.
So, okay, now I got to expose Chris.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that
this guy should never be a commentator? This video is brought to you by Extreme Tees. Click on the link below. Make sure you put Kevin in the promo code and you'll get a 20% discount. Okay, so now we're back here. We done went full circle, ring around the rosies, pocket full of posies concerning racism and condemnation for white nationalists, white supremacists, and all of that stuff, because he's approaching this as if Trump has never done this. See, they have an ongoing, repeated false narrative that for some reason everybody forgets and feels the need to badger him every time he's in front of a microphone as if he's a full-blown 100% KKK member up in the White House, you know, never denounced, never addressed racism, never denounced white nationalism. How many times must you do that? You think they would do that to Barack Obama? Huh? Do you think they would do that to creepy, sleepy, sloppy, slimy Joe? No, they have not done that to Joe once. They have not sat there and said, hey, Mr. Creep, Sleep, Slop, Slime, are you willing to condemn Antifa, Black Lives Matter? How about will you condemn the clear and present danger that is happening right now in all of our faces? But for some reason, we find it more advantageous and necessary to ask Trump about something he condemned many, many times over and over again. But just for farts and giggles, let's make sure that he does it again. Thus, when he kind of bypasses it, what do I hear the next day? Why ain't Trump condemn white nationalism? Why ain't he? Because he sees the game. He know what they're trying to do. They are not pressuring Creep, Sleep, Slop, Slime to condemn Antifa. So why is Chris bringing up darn white nationalism and all that stuff? I mean, maybe his interpretation of what went down in but where was they? Portland, and what went down in the other state where the one dude got shot for acting a fool. It'll come to me in a second. Right now, I'm in a rhythm. Anyway, bottom line, they are interpreting those incidents as what? Violence from the right? I mean, I looked at the footage. I know the case. I've seen what they did and what their intentions were when they got there. I saw the antagonist come along to stir up the trouble. But yet Chris won't even acknowledge that. As a journalist, you should be well aware that the narratives that they've been painting for what took place in both of these cities were not white nationalists and all of that stuff. So as he tries to block any type of criticism of Antifa and all of that by lumping patriots, by lumping folks in there that just want to protect their own business, what he is doing is trying to block the criticism and the ability to address Antifa, whether it be over the microphone here or in person. Chris right now is trying to block all of that by saying anybody that goes and opposes them, anybody that goes down there and march is antagonizing things. And they're probably white nationalists, Proud Boys / malicious, going there just to exercise their white privilege. You see the game?
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Since we're talking about racism, okay, and since we're talking about white nationalists, we're talking about militias, we're talking about the Proud Boys, all those things that Chris Wallace demanded Trump disavow. And I'm thinking to myself, so let me get this straight. You're going to jump over months and months of obvious groups, hate groups, violent groups, destroying property, burning stuff, all the way over that to Proud Boys, to white militias, whatever that means, and to, I guess, white nationalists. And I'm thinking, well, where are they? I mean, can you identify these white nationalists? Just because someone's white doesn't make them a white nationalist. Just because someone rolls up on the scene and says, I believe in the First, Second Amendment and protecting our cities because these mayors and state governors aren't protecting it, doesn't make them white nationalists. And Chris bringing up that topic without addressing the clear and present danger.
Sure, are you prepared to specifically
do it?
Well, go ahead,
I would say almost.
And then gonna try to muscle him into a confession to support a narrative that's not even a real issue in America. You know how it is, y'all. Oh man, you know, black people are constantly being hunted every day by white cops, but yet the stats doesn't show that. The stats do show a real problem that the Democrats ignore, which is gang violence in all of these democratically ran cities are resulting in thousands of black men being killed every year. But somehow, right over their head, that's not the real problem. Let's deal with the minor problem. I mean, a very minute problem that pops up every blue moon. Let's highlight that, blow it up, cause folks to get into an outrage, divide the country, and make it seem like this is an epidemic. And then when folks don't embrace it as that, let's call them insensitive. Let's call them racist. Let's call them white nationalists. And let's bully them into accepting that narrative. And if they don't, like Christians try to do, then we'll say, well, why wouldn't you condemn white nationalism? Why wouldn't you? And I'm thinking, how many times do Trump have to do that? Why does it keep coming back up? Is this an ongoing problem? Has that problem trumped all of this Antifa rioting, all of these Black Lives Matter violence, all of that? Has white nationalism, has militias, all of that, have that trumped these things? Are those bigger problems than what we've been seeing for 4 months? Because my question to Bootleg Chris is, why would you not address those and put those right up under Joe's nose and ask him, why haven't you condemned this? Are you willing to condemn it now? Say it, Joe. No, he didn't do that to him, but he's going to do it to Trump.
Almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right wing.
Floyd killing, up until then, nobody was seeing no Proud Boys out there bucking heads. Nobody was seeing militias formed. There was no need for it. But when they start destroying cities, burning stuff, tearing down businesses, attacking folks, and the cops weren't doing nothing about it because the Democrat ran cities, then you're going to get malicious.
So what are you saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see peace.
The trick and the goal of the left, of the liberal media, and apparently of Chris Wallace, is to immediately categorize these people or demonize these people by putting labels on them that is not applicable, and then asking Trump to condemn them, which would make Trump end up buying into this whole race narrative and white nationalist narrative and all these narratives they're talking about as an uprising in America that isn't true. That would be playing into their whole game.
Do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Now, did y'all see the double team? You know, you got Chris going, are you willing? Huh? Do it. Huh? Do it. And then you hear Joe, yeah, say it. See, because they're trying to double trap Trump. That's what they're doing. What they want to do is say, Trump, we're going to throw some groups into a category that they shouldn't be thrown into, to redirect the attention away from all this violence coming from Antifa and Black Lives Matter. We're not going to challenge Joe on those things. But instead, all of these patriots that's been watching this for months go on unchecked, not even approached by the Democrats, not even step to a mic and say, hey man, y'all tearing up cities and this and a stop. Y'all need to stop. None of that. Never called out any of these groups by name. Giving them the wink and the gun, bailing them out of prison, out of jail, all of that, financing them, all of those things. Those patriots that's been watching all this take place that says enough is enough. They want Trump to attack them based on a label that they put on them, not what they really are. And that's why Trump is not quick to jump on the whole bandwagon of white nationalism and Nazis and Proud Boys and all of that stuff, because that's a tactic that's used from the left. Let's demonize the groups, bully him into condemning these groups that aren't really in the category of white nationalists, hate groups, and all that stuff. You have to understand, for months we've been watching violence take place from Antifa and from Black Lives Matter, and the whole Democratic Party refused to condemn them by saying these are mostly peaceful protests. Mostly peaceful protests. See, so they're softening the term for these rioters, anarchists, but then really intensifying the term for those that are defending themselves against those folks, defending their property, exercising the First and Second Amendment with every effort to be peaceful, until these knuckleheads show up to make it fester and turn into something it shouldn't have been.
But I'll tell you what, somebody's got to do something about Antifa.
Joe Biden taking a nap throughout all of the violence and destruction, then came out of nowhere once he realized his poll numbers were falling and pretended to care about violence. But he never called out Antifa. He never calls out Black Lives Matter. He just does this general condemnation, which the media, including this dude, Chris Wallace, didn't even ask him to do that. Trump brought it up. But nonetheless, Chris Wallace should have brought it up. Now, why is it that Chris Wallace would not address the obvious danger, the obvious violence that's going on, being perpetrated by Antifa and Black Lives Matter? Why wouldn't he address that? Why wouldn't he open up that question to Joe Biden right off rip? Instead, he attacks Trump. There's been a lot of criticism from you saying that the former vice president won't condemn hate groups like Antifa, but at the same time, he never asked Joe Biden to condemn Antifa. He just went straight to Trump. He said, basically, all those months of Antifa running around that we all witnessed, and Trump asking, why ain't Joe Biden, condemning them? Well, instead of asking Joe Biden, yeah, why aren't you condemning them? He decides it's more important to go and attack or ask Trump to condemn a group that isn't falling into the label of these hate groups or racist groups or none of that stuff. But we're going to go ahead and put our own label or narrative to these groups, and then ask Trump to disavow them as if these are real problems. Disavow them so that you could attack, in a sense, or silence or muffle the mouths of folks that simply want to protest peacefully, folks that simply want to protect their property. And if Trump would have went ahead and said, yeah, all right, all of those people I disavow, they weren't talking about real white nationalists when he asked that. They weren't talking about real, Nazis and all the stuff they're talking about. They're talking about folks that just disagree with this crazy, aggressive, liberal agenda and movement and the violence that comes with it. And therefore, any of these folks that have the nerve to say, not on my watch, gets thrown in to the category of white nationalists. So what they're really trying to do, along with Chris, is create a new category for white nationalists, a new category for patriots or militias that want to protect their property, their country, and so on and so forth. They're creating a new narrative, a new white nationalist, a new hate group, which these are not hate groups. These are groups that I looked at what Proud Boy does, their group. I looked at that. I see the militia, all of that. And the other groups, they don't come in with swastikas and stuff. They don't come in talking about we're white nationalists, white power, man. They come in talking about we're patriots. And see, to the left, patriot means white nationalists.
And the left, because this is not a right-wing problem. This is a left-wing. This is a left-wing problem. Do you want to call him? What do you want to call him? Give me a name. Give me a
white
name.
Supremacists and
who would you like me to condemn?
Proud
Boys, Black Lives Matter leaders hold joint press conference. We denounce white supremacy. So Black Lives Matter leaders and Black Proud Boy leader get together and hold a joint press conference to denounce white supremacy.
I will go out and say that the Proud Boys as a whole, I will say this on behalf of the entire national organization, denounce white supremacy. We are in no way, shape, or form white supremacists. We have a vetting system that just gets those guys out of our hair. We do not have anything to do with white supremacy. We do not have anything to do with the Ku Klux Klan. We denounce those organizations.
Listen, right,
Proud Boys, stand back and stand by.
White supremacist. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you got to be
not
kidding.
militia.
And Chris did that on purpose. He purposely ignored Joe Biden labeling Antifa as an idea and not a group. He purposely ignored that and said, let's pick the non-problem, the non-issue, the one that hasn't been destroying America for the last 4 months or so. Let's pick that to go after Trump. But skip holding Biden accountable to respond and condemn Antifa and the violence that comes from Black Lives Matter. And that is why Chris Wallace is a full-blown hack. So just for fun, since they don't remember at all Trump ever condemning any of these things, let's go back down memory lane and afterwards ask yourself, how many times is enough?
Trump has finally condemned white supremacists on Hannity. He's such a liar. What do you mean, finally? Tweet from 2017. Trump condemns KKK and white supremacists, commenting on Charlottesville. Racism is evil. There's no other way to put it. The President of the United States refused to disavow white supremacists on the debate stage last night. That's a complete lie. But sure, we'll move on from that one. And as you can see in the video, it's just a picture of Kyle Rittenhouse, essentially alluding that he is a white supremacist who caused violence in Kenosha, especially if we put that into context with what was said by both Chris Wallace and Joe Biden on the debate stage.
Well, you've got David Duke just joined, a bigot, a racist, a problem. I mean, this is not exactly the people you want in your party.
Yeah, David Duke and all were disavowed. I disavowed him on Friday. I disavowed him right after that because I thought if there was any question.
I didn't even know he endorsed me. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow, okay?
I disavowed David Duke, and I disavowed him the day before at a major news conference. David Duke is a bad person who I disavowed on numerous occasions over the years. I'm saying to myself, how many times do I have to continue to disavow people?
So are you prepared right now to make a clear and unequivocal statement renouncing the support of all white supremacists?
Of course I am. Of course I am. I mean, there's nobody that's done so much for equality as I have.
Racism is evil, and those who cause violence in its name are criminals and thugs, including the KKK, neo-Nazis, white supremacists.
I disavowed David Duke all weekend long on Facebook, on Twitter, and obviously it's never enough. I disavowed him every time I speak to somebody virtually, and you know, they just keep it going. They keep it going.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis and the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
David Duke is a bad person who I disavowed on numerous occasions over the years.
When Chris joined, we had a news conference, and they asked me the exact same question. I said, I disavow. I disavowed then. I disavowed today on ABC with George Stephanopoulos. I disavowed again. I'm not looking
Would you repudiate David Duke?
Sure.
David Duke and robocalls are out again, the white supremacist movement supporting you. Do you have any words for that?
Well, I disavow. David Duke endorsed me? Okay. All right. I disavow. Okay?
When we looked at it and looked at the question, I disavowed David Duke. So I've disavowed David Duke all weekend long on Facebook, on Twitter, and obviously it's never enough.
So are you prepared right now to make a clear and unequivocal statement renouncing the support of all white supremacists?
Of course I am.
He has yet once to condemn white supremacy, the neo-Nazis. He hasn't condemned a darn thing.
If a person wants to be the nominee of the Republican Party, there can be no evasion and no games. They must reject any group or cause that is built on bigotry. He was talking about you.
But I've rejected. How many times do I have to reject? I've rejected David Duke. I've rejected the KKK, the Ku Klux Klan.
White supremacists are saying, vote. Do you want those votes?
No, I don't want them, and I don't want him to say it.
And you want the supporters?
No, I don't want anything.
What do you think of white supremacists, by the way?
I don't like any group of hate.
David Duke announced his Senate candidacy, claiming your agenda.
Are you ready before you ask the question?
Newt Gingrich said every Republican should repudiate this guy no matter what it takes.
And I do. Rebuked. Is that okay? Rebuked.
Rebuked.
Done.
Now, are you seeing a pattern? I'm just saying. I just sit here and watch the president disavow. I disavow. The one video, he disavowed David Duke way before he even got in politics. But for some reason, Chris has amnesia. For some reason, Joe Biden has amnesia. Well, he always has. But You know, the rest of them, all of these narratives coming out about Trump supports white nationalists. He never disavowed. How is it that their short-term memory is just gone? Everything. They forget so quick that this dude disavowed multiple times. You know what they're doing? They're recycling the narrative. They're hoping all those bubbleheads that bought into the narrative keep forgetting and never see this footage. Why are they not showing this footage to y'all? Why do they want y'all to just think Trump has never disavowed any type of racism, white nationalism, and all of that stuff? Why can't they get their facts straight? Why do they need to keep bringing up that issue? See, you have to understand, that issue goes back. It goes way back, all the way to Charlottesville and all that stuff and this and that. But this Antifa issue is front and center. This is a hot topic. This is a right now problem. This is something that's been going on that none of the Democrats have addressed or dealt with or disavowed, including Joe Biden. But for some reason, let's go back and make sure, just in case we missed it the first 15 or 20 times, that Donald Trump disavows white nationalism, these militias and all of that stuff, who isn't stirring up none of this trouble, ain't burnt down one business, ain't jumped or attacked one person, but yet Chris finds it necessary to bring up an issue that he knows the answer to already, that Trump already done disavowed. But nonetheless, he's a hack. And he brought it back up to change the narrative away from real, clear and present danger like what's going on in all these funky, nasty, dirty, liberal cities. And some folks just can't see it. Hey, I just want to say thanks for watching Kevin and Kevin's Corner and supporting my channel. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. Make sure that your notifications are set to all and that you're still subscribed to the channel. Also, don't forget, share this video and follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of those good sites. The links are below. Don't forget, check out Extreme Tees, my sponsor. If you like their products, click on the link below. Put Kevin in a promo code. You'll get a 20% discount. And if you want to donate to Kevin and Kevin's Corner, feel free. There's a link below to do that as well. God bless you. God bless America. See you next time in Kevin's Corner. Take care.